Okay. Welcome, everyone, to our Inside the Box lecture series. This semester, it's called Spaces Designed Through the Lens. It is a lecture series on interior and architectural photography from artists who have captured some of the most stunning and innovative spaces worldwide. It was curated by Malcolm Leitner, and so I'm going to hand over the reins to Malcolm.
Thank you, Carol, and welcome everyone. I'm super excited tonight. This evening, Emma joins us from Emma Peter Photography. In the past 12 years, she has worked with some of the most prestigious architectural, interior design, and engineering firms in North America. Her images have been published in numerous publications, including Architectural Digest, Object International, Dwell, Wired, the New York Times, and many more. Emma holds a master's degree in art and applied photography from the National Academy of Theater and Film Arts in Sofia, Bulgaria. I find her background fascinating and to where she is today. She actually started her career as a TV anchor on Bulgarian national TV and then as an intern at Magnum Photo Agency in Paris. She then led one of the largest photography teams in North America at VRX Studios, Inc. She was also the lead photographer for ad campaigns at Hilton, Hyatt, and Fairmont, and was responsible for creating photography standards for some of the world's top hotel brands. So, Emma, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. In that introduction was great. I'll try to give in this talk a little bit of an idea how we approach not only residential but commercial projects, and told what happens a little bit behind the scenes, not only what we do, how we photograph. Good images evoke emotion, and there's such a changing landscape at the moment because we're literally drowning in a sea of images. So the most important thing is to make the viewer feel something, to make the viewer want to be there. That's the biggest goal. And feeling something is what makes stop scrolling. And I know all of you know what I'm talking about. Photography has become so much more than recording. Because good photography, actually not good photography, exceptional photography, can truly make a huge difference for interior designers and architects. And we were just discussing exactly this. And we see it every day with every project, because well-recorded projects that can evoke that emotion and that sense of zen, of love, of home, of escape, they're the ones that do exceptionally well and get published over and over again. When you look at a person in a space and you can say, I want to be that person, this is what makes you stop. You want to imagine yourself into a space. And just a little statistic, in 2024, an estimated 1.9 trillion photos will be taken worldwide. Globally, 5.3 billion photos are captured daily, about 60,000 a second, and 14 billion images are uploaded on social media. 14 billion images. So we're drowning in images. So how do you make in exactly that moment your project stand out or your image stand out? How you make people stop in their track? So this is our biggest issue nowadays. This is where understanding your niche or what are the trends, or knowing your target market as a designer or an architect is extremely important. So an image is a strategy now. It's no longer an image. And my strategy has always been to showcase the whole project, but people react on specific key images that are the impactful one. I call them the one, usually per project. And to be honest, those are the images that capture the attention. And when they capture the attention, this is how people want to review more of the project. So this is the strategy. And my background is in photojournalism. That's why you have an image here that is on the screen. That is photojournalistic image, actually. I'm a follower of Henri Cartier-Bresson. And his decisive moment, the moment when the heart, the eye, and the mind are in the same trajectory, on in real words, not romantic words, You find the perfect composition of the building or the design that you're photographing, and you wait for that perfect moment or you create it. And this image will always inspire me. As a photojournalist, I saw this image by René Bory. This is done in the 1960s. René Bory is a famous Magnum photographer, photojournalist. So this was in Brazil in 1960s. And to this day, this image impacts me. Why? Okay, it's a beautiful shot of architecture. Not the perfect resolution because, like, I mean, this is an old image. But what makes that image is the group of the men on the roof. Because you're imagining all sorts of scenarios, like who are those men? What are they doing there? You know, like, so there is a mystery. There is a sense of interest, of scale. And this is another image by Elliot Erwitt, and it's an image of the Empire State Buildings. And I'm noticing this is the type of images that exactly nowadays stop people in their tracks, because you're looking at the Empire State Building, but it's a surprising view of the Empire State Building. Because we have all seen the building. I mean, you guys are in New York, you have seen the building, but managing to find an angle from some sort of a perspective to add that element, you can just imagine yourself being that person looking at that building. So you create a completely different perspective. And actually, talking about surprise, a quote comes to my mind. Julia Cameron, who's a famous writer and an artist, she says that the creative process is a process of surrender, not control. Mystery is at the heart of creativity. That and a surprise. Because if you can surprise yourself, you can surprise others, and then it becomes something bigger. And this image I love. It's by Fernando Guerra. It's my inspiration. I have a photographer I follow and love. It's an Abu Dhabi project. And do you feel it? Do you feel the light, the early morning, the wind? You're experiencing the project through a person, but this doesn't stop you at looking at the architecture. So my goal has always been this. My goal has always been to showcase the architecture, but through a different lens, through a different perspective. And this is my image. This is a swimming pool, my first architectural record cover. It's a swimming pool in Surrey, British Columbia. And I was so proud. I mean, first architectural record cover is a big deal for anyone. And the editor called me and said, Emma, we have a problem. One of our readers is complaining about this image. And imagine, of course, a nightmare for me. A reader said that the clouds cannot be so low and this image is heavily photoshopped. Do you think those are clouds? So early morning, there is a tree in front of this building. Those are translucent panels, and those are the shadow that the tree casts on the translucent panels. And I caught one of the two jumps of an Olympic jumper. And this was the moment I thought, we can change anyone's mind. We can create images that are mind-bending. And this is really what I've been trying to do every time I shoot. And this is another shot. It became like won the Architizer Awards. Like, it's been everywhere. It became viral almost. It's the most probably published architectural shot I have. And what do you feel out of it? It's zen. Sensation of calmness. And I started reading about psychology and the viewer and how we perceive images. And there is a study by Rider University, John Searler, who's a clinical psychiatrist, who made his students review 200 images really fast, numbered images, the way we scroll now on Instagram. You know what I'm talking about. Scrolling is a big thing. And at the end of it, made them jot down the numbers of the images that were the most impactful. And they were exactly those ones. Zen, calmness, family, happiness, anything that then evoke a positive emotion. And nowadays, everybody loves those a little bit moodier images and a little bit like unexpected images. And this is a building in Vancouver. It's the Park Hotel and Casino. When I was hired to do ACDF, is the architect, when I was hired to do this image, I thought we need to do something unusual. And I told the architects we need to wait for until we have fluffy clouds. Imagine how people love to wait for months and months to get the fluffy cloud out there. And I had to leave a shoot and run when I saw the clouds. But do you know how many people from Vancouver ask me where this building is? So you can actually surprise people by doing something completely unusual with a building that's in the middle of the city. So again, this made me always think, okay, we need to constantly do something unusual. And I wanted to start with some of the commercial projects because they're both interior and exterior. And this project I just did like a couple of months ago is by ZGF Architects from Portland, the Portland team. This is the Portland Airport. Exceptional building. And you know, in many cases, they tell us you need to recreate the rendering, and the rendering does like, I mean, the building does not look anything like the rendering usually, but this building looked exactly like it. So we're photographing 2 days before the opening, the soft opening. So what you're seeing here is not really the real picture. We had builders and tape everywhere. Even the screens that you're seeing in the background, they're actually drawn by a designer because the screens weren't inserted. And those are actually not real people either. Those are models. Well, models are real people, but those are hired models to be participating in the shoot. So we're talking about full-blown production of actually, but it looks as natural as you can. That's why you have to have blurred people going through. You see people in the dark and in the lights, they're blurred. So this is very complicated from perspective of photography in general. And it's a whole blown film production. So sometimes when you're looking at those spaces and you're thinking, oh, the photographer just went and photographed, it's not really the case. We spent hours and hours. Each shot is done with and without the people and trying to shout at every builder possible who was around the scene as well. Also, this is the perfect rendering shot of this building. This was, I remember seeing it before the building was built. Where I'm standing, I would have loved to back off a little bit more. Of course, there was a big pole, lighting pole. So this shot is done, just to give you a perspective, with me hugging the pole while the camera is at the front and I'm at the back because I can't back off anymore to be able to do the rendering shot. So to achieve that dynamic that looks really natural in the shots, you need to travel and be on airports and actually observe people. So we do this a lot with different projects. We try to make it as natural as possible, but this happens by observing other images. So we reviewed quite a few files of airports before we started this project. But it was quite the show. You can see you have people with dogs, you have people dressed like pilots. And of course, we do details always as well. This was the hardest image possible of all of them because getting the kids to run around, kids in shots are hard. That's about it. Like I can't put it in any two ways. And this was the hardest shot of all of them. So imagine me, I actually tore my calf on this shoot as well. But I still had to go on a cherry picker outside to be able to recreate this shot. And those are people, again, models that are running through the bottom of the shot. And imagine I'm on a scissor lift that moves tremendously. Every shot that you do is almost blurred because you have an operator who doesn't fully understand the photography part of it. So every time he moves, my shots become blurred. And then at the same time, I had to talk to a production coordinator to position the people inside of the building while there is an airplane landing behind me making an insane noise. So if you think your day is hard, just think about doing award-winning images on a scissor lift with a person with a torn calf and with COVID, it turned out later on, which was quite entertaining actually. But this is the image that ended up on the cover of Record. And I was just talking about this recently about challenging yourself. Because at the end of the day, the images that make the biggest difference are the ones that you break all the rules. So I'm always told, okay, be careful with flare, like don't do images when there is a flare. And like literally, I was using, I don't know whether you guys know about architectural lenses, but there is a 17mm tilt shift. It's correction perspective lenses that actually you can shift up to be able to get the full width of that skylight. And of course, like at noon, the light was straight in my lens. And I thought, okay, I need to move aside and do another shot. Because I'm always thought, okay, be careful with flare. I couldn't remove the whole flare with hiding it. But then I decided, okay, let me hide half of the flare, whatever I can. And this is when the rays of light happen. And this is when I thought, after so many years in architectural photography, I still can actually truly challenge myself on a daily basis to do something different. And this is what the publications are looking for. So when you're actually publishing a project, they want that image that nobody's actually going to believe that it's real. You saw the first one with the jumper. This is another one of those. So this is the second way of photographing projects. We do it with the people that are in the that we hire, or this is in Spain, Loyola by Luis Vidal Architects. Here we're just chasing the students through the building. And it's almost like this photojournalistic element that I was telling you about, like how Henri Cartier-Bresson shot. And you're looking for those moments. So your day starts at 4 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning if it's summertime, so you can get there for dawn. And it continues all the way to dusk. But you're chasing your light and you're chasing those design elements. And here, the whole building had those screens everywhere. So I wanted to showcase how those work. And it is about scheduling. We know when the students are coming in the building. We know when the breaks are, so we can actually get them blurred through the spaces. So it is a lot of kind of catching those specific moments, and it is quite stressful, or it could be a lot of fun. I have to tell you, this is fun as well, and a lot of the students love to participate in this type of shoots. And we also play a little bit in some of the architectural shoots. This is Calatrava. It is in Toronto. I decided I want to do Mad Men here. I wanted everybody to be to catch people in my shots that are dressed in suits or really well dressed. So we still have that opportunity to create kind of ageless images. Like, I mean, there is one specifically, it's towards this one. I love this image because it doesn't look like it is from this era. It could be many years ago. It could be 20, 30 years ago. So playing a little bit is also important. And people love those shots. They love the haze. They love that sensation of early morning. You can imagine the dynamic in the building by actually looking at the people. And events, being a photojournalist has helped me tremendously to actually photograph events. It could be total chaos. And you never know what type of a person is going to stand right in front of your camera. You still are doing commercial photography, so you still need to kind of select the people that are around you. But the image that the architect loved the most is this one. And why? You saw the building. The building is beautiful. It's Pat Cow Architects from Vancouver. This is the Polygon Gallery. I like those unusual moments. So the gallery is right next to the ocean, and this was a really dark day. And at the end of the day, the ocean got hit by a little bit of rays of light that reflected in the mirrored surface of the window of the gallery. And then we got the silhouettes. And you know, those type of images showcase architecture in a completely different way. I mean, those are chances as well. I truly believe in serendipity. There was a moment when I thought, okay, I'm just going to run around and I'm going to, in Milan, I remember, and I'm going to try to find in each shot someone in red. And each shot turned out with someone, like somebody in red passed by. And I was thinking, maybe we just don't see things. Maybe we're so bogged down constantly with the way we see the world that those specific moments, we're not catching them, not because they don't exist, but because we're not looking enough. So opening our eyes. Kengo Kuma, I love this building. He's a very well-known architect from Japan. So I almost literally did a U-turn where I wasn't supposed to when I saw the rays of light. I was hired to do this building. But of course, fog happens only on specific days, and fog and sun happen on specific days. So you can see the structure of the building, though, through the rays of light. So the architect loved those shots, and when I posted them, they had a really strong impact because, again, you never look at a building from that from that specific perspective. And we try to do those buildings in every weather. If Vancouver doesn't function in the snow, I still manage to get myself there and to photograph. And we do it in the summer as well, nighttime, daytime. You just experiment as much as possible. And again, spaces they're done for people. This is a moss garden in the middle of that base of that building. And Ken Gukuma is very well known for the wood slats. It was actually he designed the piano for each building that this specific developer does. I mean, Björke did a piano, like Björke Ingels Group did the piano. Like he did a piano. So the different architects are creating a piano for each building, and there is always some sort of a recital in the middle. So I thought this is the perfect opportunity to kind of showcase, even when it's a little bit more chaotic. But again, we notice people more gravitate towards those really clean, beautiful, more Zen images, because as a one person, you imagine yourself being there on your own in most cases. So we try to cover it from that perspective as well. And this image happened only kind of in June, when the sun is high enough to go in between the buildings, so the light can be streaming inside. And this piano goes in and out of the building. It's actually quite interesting. And of course, you need to bribe people to go on all sorts of rooftops and fight with seagulls, because like literally we have to just explore every perspective around the building. And that type of a reflection happened only in the winter time, when the sun is setting, so you can get that beautiful pink reflection on that side of the building. So you really are chasing every moment possible. So one building is never photographed in like 1-2 days. It's always like, I always try to photograph it in different ways, because you cannot catch every light. This is a very interesting project by Lecky Studio and Gail Guevara Studio. And I wanted to show it to you because we photographed for the architect, and then we photographed for the interior designer. So you're going to see a little bit of different ways of doing this. And the architect loved it more graphic. This is in the middle of a kitchen. So he wanted to not showcase what's happening in the reflection. He wanted this specific, beautiful internal garden to be showcased in a more graphic way. So we put strobes from above, from a higher floor. So he calls it alien abduction, this shot as well. But we tried as much as possible to create rays of light in actually rain. If you look at this image closely, this is an image done in, she's in the rain. So we try to be as minimal as possible, and he loves more darker skies. So we try to be as kind of precise about the color of the wood as possible. And this is a multi-generational home. It's actually quite interesting the way it's designed. One part of the home is actually for a young couple with their little child, and the other side of the home is for the grandparents. So the interior designer wanted to showcase the whole story. And we noticed, like with different publications, there is a different approach. And I'll show you how with the residential projects, we actually go in those different publications. Because again, when we photograph, there is a strategy behind it. We don't just photograph for the sake of photographing. We need to either go with the style of the architect, because specific architects, designers have a very specific style and they want to keep to it. Or we need to tell the story from the moment you enter a space to exactly how the spaces work together, living room, dining room. So from interior design perspective, all of the publications always want us to show that connectivity of spaces. It's not only about the pretty photos, but you need to also showcase the story. So we ask designers and architects to tell us the story before we actually start shooting. So here we had the grandmother and the little kid. We almost had that story, and you can see the hallway in the middle that actually connects the two buildings. So very different way of photographing the same space. Here they wanted to see the reflection, to see that there is a kitchen. We had a lot more, you see, minimal styling, but styling for interior spaces is very important for publishing, especially if you publish, you have two ways of publishing. You have the architectural publications that want more minimalistic style of shooting, and then you'll have dwell, which will be exactly this, telling the story of the family. And then you have publications like Veranda and Architectural Digest, where it's going to be a lot more styling and it's going to be a lot more like they're much more kind of thousands of dollars going into the styling, where here it's very, very minimal. And of course, we're following the style of the designer. But you see, the style is a lot softer. Most of the architects, we really ask them to style, but in most cases, we would never get the spaces fully styled, or that kind of more just adding more details is not an option. And here's the whole perception of the little girl running into the grandmother's. So it shows that connectivity between the two sides of the house, so the multi-generational living. And here you go, like, right? It's a bit shocking going from one to another. This is how we shoot for publications like that are a little bit more architectural. This is a celebrity couple. So of course, this went into Architectural Digest. Every little single piece here is positioned. Everything. From the candles to the flowers, there is a florist on site. We literally a day selected, which is perfect. The shot is done in this time of the year because the flowers are blooming outside. So those shoots, there's so much detail that goes into all of those images. Again, all of this is not just done. It is done in insane detail. Like all of the flowers that are in front of the little garden are at the little kid's house are also put there just now, like when we're shooting. So there's a lot of thought process that goes in all of those images. I mean, the detail on the table with the food. We have sometimes bakers, florists, like we literally have entire teams and entire truckloads of accessories coming in. And this is Kelly Deck. She's designed, she's one of the best designers in Canada for interior. And every shoot we do with her always gets published incredibly well. And this is the middle. This is not the uber minimal, nor it's like this is Measured Architecture. They have both an interior design team in their office and their architects. So that combination is really great because when we're trying to publish specific publications, we have issues when we have beautiful architecture and the furniture is terrible. And I keep telling everyone, like, we truly have to have that symbiosis of the two for a project to be successful. And this is a project on an island in the Gulf Islands of Canada. So we arrived the previous day and we're starting at 5 o'clock in the morning and we're chasing the light in the building. And purely from photo perspective, if you think that there is no lighting in this, there is. So we wait for the perfect light, but when you photograph really dark interiors and really bright exteriors, you need to use strobes always because that perfect line of the window is not going to be there. You'll have a lot of haze. So there is a lot of work that goes into lighting those spaces as well. But meticulously, everything again here is positioned in its place. And this project at the moment is on the cover of the local project, which became very wildly popular in our industry because they do exactly those kind of more remote, beautiful locations. And we usually cover everything in a project. We go from photographing, as you saw, the living room, dining room, to all of the exteriors. And what is very important for architects and designers is interior-exterior connection. So we always try to showcase exactly what the relationship is, no matter what. Even in those previous shots, you saw the shadows that are coming from the trees. Again, everyone wants that type of a connection, as well as when you do the exteriors, that underbelly of the ceiling of the house is so important to get together with the reflection of the tree as well. So we always try to do exterior-interior connections. Like all the architects, this is Measured Architecture as well. The principals love that connection, and we try to always find it. And this was a good example, actually, because this is a white hallway. It's a white hallway, but at 6 p.m. when we were photographing, this white hallway becomes this incredible play of shadow and light. And you add the person in it, and then it becomes something completely different. So you can find those truly magical moments in every single project. But again, you need to chase it, or you need to kind of anticipate almost what is going to happen. And dwell. Some publications that love following the family. And to be honest, following small children for a long period of time is extremely tiring. And they get frustrated, we get frustrated, but usually we follow the day of the household. So how the kids are playing, the mother is preparing food, and we don't try to push it too much. We try to really capture it the way it's happening, because again, with children, you can't really fake it, especially in the homes. You need to kind of see how they progress during the day, and get them outside as well, get some of the exterior images. And here, like, I love this shot. He was just hanging on the chair, and we tried to get that perfect. This is the hardest moment, when you have to have perfectly straight lines and everything exposed perfectly and catch the kids. Because I always photograph with a tripod. Most of the architectural photographers in Europe don't use tripods, actually. The North American guys were a lot more kind of, we need to have the tripod, we need to have the perfect exposures. But this would be so much easier if I could just do it handheld. And we go to the Uber Clean. So this is McLeod Bovell Modern Homes. This is one of the homes that I started with. So when the architects and designers don't want us to have too much in the homes, then we rely on light and on shape. So you need to take a use of this beautiful sunset that was happening in this home. And of course, I position people. I truly believe in having people in the shots. And the more curated shoots that we have, we always have people in them. We always make sure that we bring someone to actually participate in the shot. And to be honest, even if they're not over styled, those type of homes do exceptionally well, because again, when you have the good furniture and when you catch the really beautiful light, those images, people always relate to them. And of course, you find crazy shapes, crazy reflections. Always try to do something completely different, but you feel the scale of the whole building. And that person, exactly, this is what they're doing. They're showing you that incredible scale. And quiet images. This was the tea room, and I thought, okay, the shape was so unbelievable. So I tried to work around that shape outside and inside. This is the triangles in the home were pretty incredible. So I tried to show them everywhere. But look at this image. So this was the daytime shot of the shot I showed you, and I'll show it to you after. So you see that triangle shape in the water? Well, this is it at night. I wouldn't have seen it. To be honest, I wouldn't have actually done this shot if during the daytime I didn't see the actual shadow, like that the triangle shape was creating. So buildings kind of reveal themselves, and design reveals itself if you really are watching. And I wanted to go a little bit in the hospitality shoots as well, because hospitality could be done for the hospitality brands, or it could be done for the architects. And this was done for the architect, St. Regis Canai by Edmonds International. And we always try to get the drone shots, of course. The previous shot had to be flown so high up, we weren't even sure whether we were at the verge to actually photograph, because we have the heights, we have specific heights. But one of the key aspects of this project were the showcasing how the light filters through all of the screens. So what we did is we chased exactly that. We waited for the light to be a little bit lower to be able to showcase how it works, whether it's at daytime or it was at dusk. Of course, you need to follow specific guidelines, and swimming pools are quite interesting to shoot because well, in most cases, you try to photograph them early morning, late afternoon when there are no people. But if you work for hospitality brands, purely from a psychology perspective, they want us to shoot midday. And that's because people actually think warm, I want to jump in the swimming pool. So there is a psychology in the way all of the hospitality images are done, because this is how they sell more, is if they have that perspective, okay, I mean, even when you're looking at this, you're thinking beautiful, but I don't feel like jumping in this water. But when we photograph with the architects, they care more about the feeling rather than the actual warmth of the water. And the shapes. This hotel had specific shapes that were happening from the screens. So the architect really wanted us to catch exactly this, like to catch them in the shot. So we always try to do it. And yeah, we do crazy things. So this resort is in the middle of a mangrove. So imagine me and my assistant uh, running around the entire perimeter of the resort. The mangrove had small crocodiles in it. We were kind of warned about it. Plus, somebody had seen a jaguar in the next door property, not the car, the real thing. So here we are running around in a major storm with we're the tallest thing and we're with a metal tripod. So choose what you're gonna die from today. Hit by lightning, eaten by a jaguar. Like that's pretty much what happens in our job. But do you know it's so exciting when actually you find something about your work that is so much fun. Um, and that adrenaline rush of doing something that has that satisfaction when you see the image afterwards. That's what I really love about photography and about photographing interior and architecture, because you have absolutely crazy situations. You fly to crazy places. You do things that you would have never expected. You're scared. But I always believe that when you're scared the most, you need to jump, because this is the time to jump. You know, it's the time to actually tell yourself, and it's a mental process to actually do the things that you're told not to do, like being in a lightning storm here. And I wanted to show you some of the restaurant shoots. They're probably the most complicated ones. Um, a whole interior of hotels, of hotel lobbies, of restaurants, they're hard because we're working with very minimal lighting. So each one of those chairs at the foreground is lit by a separate source. Like, so we literally, I mean, to be honest, this could be done in Photoshop probably as well, but still, we were talking about artificial intelligence and using some of the tools on Photoshop. Do you know, we're still having major issues on social media actually. When we post, we have to wipe up all of the metadata because it says made with artificial intelligence, not edited with tools that are part of it. Like it literally says made with artificial intelligence. So we're very, very mindful still of it. I feel like the world is still not fully ready. It makes things much easier for us, but at the same time, we're still battling kind of the rules and regulations of social media as well. So we still light each, and we notice the effect is not the same when we try to throw lighting on chairs or try to do something additional in the shots. So we still do it additionally. And this shot was interesting because the designers wanted to do, they're huge fans of Blade Runner. So the entire theme of the restaurant is based on Blade Runner. And you have this absolutely surreal type of an experience when you're in there because it exactly looks like this. It's pretty incredible. And I wanted kind of to wrap up with some of the office spaces that we do, because again, this is part of interior design. We work with Gensler, with all of the bigger firms. And this is a shoot for Gal Guevara Studio. So the office spaces are super hard again. Each of those chairs have to be lined up. Everything has to be cleaned and tidied. So it looks like it's pristine. And then we go in and most cases we'll bring in people. Architects bring their own teams or we'll bring in models. We never photograph really with the staff because it's too chaotic. We try to get outdoor spaces. We ask everybody to get dressed in black, or like we just choose a theme. And we photograph like major offices, like with Microsoft and Sony's, and we just finished NBC Universal. So there we really work with what exactly the aesthetic or what is the culture of the space to be able to actually add in people that look exactly like what they want the world to see. So in some of those spaces, we try to really showcase different design elements, whether it's exactly what the designers have done as graphics on the walls, or like the fact that it is a bike-friendly places. So we always try to add as much dynamic as we possibly can. But again, making this natural is probably one of the hardest things we can possibly do. But we bring in different people. And I wanted to show you this because this is quite funny actually. So this is what my plane had to do to land on in Boston. It had to circle like 20 times to be able to land on Boston Airport. And those are the Boston Airport images. This is the new e-terminal of Boston Airport on the next day, which then thankfully was sunny. So I wanted to show you, I'll show you the images and then I'm going to show you in videos what exactly we need to deal with on a daily basis. So you can actually see approximately what a day of mine looks like. Because it's wild. It's really, really wild. But again, those images went pretty much everywhere. It's such an incredible, incredible airport. And I love red. So that's one of my favorite colors. But to do images like this, you need to be on cherry pickers at 4 o'clock in the morning in the tarmac with planes coming straight towards you. So, and this image was quite interesting. I'll tell you the story about it when you see the video. So this is on the roof line. And I'll show you the videos. I'm just going to mute the noise. So I'm arriving and it's pouring rain and it's thunder. So when you arrive at a space and you have weather like this, most photographers are pretty horrified because on the next day you are supposed to like go and photograph. And this is 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm on a cherry picker doing that shoot, waiting for that shoot with the city at the background. Sorry, they repeat for some reason. And this is what I had to climb with a harness and with a tripod to be able to go on the roof to be able to photograph. So the day continues. So the day starts usually at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And this is what we need to do to actually take some of those roof shots. So you're literally on the edge, double harnessed. I'll play this again because I'm even impressed by myself that I was so close to the edge. So you have to circle the whole building to get at specific areas. And this was that image that you saw. So you can't step in the middle. You always have to step on those more raised areas of the roof line. So you're kind of walking like a ballerina around the airport. And this is later on, we had to go on another building and you need to be very careful because if you're with specific lenses and you're photographing towards an airport from a rooftop, of course, you're a danger. So you have to have permits. People have to know that you're there. The police needs to know that you're there. So it's a very different type of an exercise. And this is back of a pickup truck. It did not work from the back of the pickup truck. So we were there with a state trooper before that. And this is on the same day. We're running through the entire airport. Here we go. We kind of move towards the higher ground to do the longer shot that you saw earlier. This is moving to yet another cherry picker. This was probably the seventh cherry picker or Caesar lift I was on that specific day. So quite entertaining actually to do this. And this shot. So for this shot, I actually have given all of my absolutely all of my credentials back, and I got surrounded by police. And I had to tell them, listen, guys, I was all day at the airport. Please do not arrest me. And they had to talk to the architect on the phone while I told them, listen, I cannot lose the light. I need to actually go back and photograph. And they let me go and photograph actually the project. So it was quite funny. So we go through a lot of kind of interesting moments to be able to photograph those buildings, but it's usually from early morning until very late at night. And most of the design spaces, we really try to work around the lights. So hopefully you learned something out of that presentation. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.